be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
We're going to switch it up and bring Ken Rosenthal onto the show in just a couple minutes on FT to get right to it. We'll hit him on the Jose Altuve extension. It's Braun, Pierzynski, and Kratz with you today. 50 days until opening day.
That's it?
50.
Gosh, it seems farther away than that.
There's still a lot of players that aren't signed,
I
too.
mean, that's what's crazy.
Do you feel bad for them or not? I mean, you're probably going to get different answers. You do, Kratz? Really? You're going to feel bad for someone like Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery when you know they're eventually going to get signed and make their millions? It's not fun, the process they're going through, but clearly their mastermind has a plan in place.
You asked Kratz. You didn't ask AJ. I don't run in the circles of the $300 million players. I had a dude text me yesterday. He's like, when are people going to start signing? He's kind of like a fringe. He had a decent year, maybe big league deal, maybe just a big league invite. He's like, I can't, like, I need to get a job. Like, this affects more than just the Blake Snell. Blake Snell's fine. Cody Bellinger, fine. Jordan Montgomery, he probably is super excited he has to go to spring training early. But for the other guys, for the other 100 or so free agents that are still out there, this is starting to get to nut cutting time.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the big guys that are affected. They're going to get theirs. It's the wee lasses.
You can still sign minor league deals right now. I mean,
yeah, but
Josh Harrison signed a minor league deal with the Reds.
Josh Harrison.
But who are you concerned about? You know,
Whit Merrifield?
Yes.
The majority of
like
guys.
But Isaiah
Gary
Sanchez
Sanchez,
signed.
Kratz's favorite player?
Whit Merrifield's better than IKF. IKF signed. They chose him for some reason, and Whit hasn't signed. So I don't think it's like certain players are being targeted, if that makes sense. I think it's just kind of a mixing and matching of.
Is it his agent? Is his agent's fault?
I don't know. Let's get to Ken Rosenthal right now, and we'll kick it up. I mean, let's start here, and then we'll get to Altuve. Ken, anything you're hearing about the next layer of free agents as we charge the mound here? Not the Boris, whatever the number is that he has right now, that he's holding hostage from the rest of the league, but the next tier, yeah, a guy like Whit Merrifield, good example. There are other players like him that have signed, but what's the holdup?
Whit Merrifield, Tommy Pham, Jorge Soler, you can go down the list. There are a number of players still out there. And this is the process that takes place every year. Every year you do see some players get caught without a good deal or perhaps forced out of the game. It's not unusual in that sense. What is unusual, in my opinion, is that this is going on so long with so many players, as Eric indicated. And guys, I'm not convinced that all of the Boris clients are going to get their money, or at least the money that they wanted. And that's really what we're talking about here. Is Blake Snell going to be a $250 million guy? Is he even going to be a $200 million guy? Jordan Montgomery, Cody Bellinger, right down the list, Matt Chapman, even JD Martinez. The longer this goes on, the more you wonder. Now, there are still teams that have money to spend. I'm thinking of the Giants and the Cubs and the Angels, the Blue Jays perhaps, maybe the Rangers if they can get some clarity on their local TV revenue beyond this year, or they feel better about it. I think they have relative clarity. I don't know that that's going to happen with them, but while there are teams still out there, I do wonder how this is going to go for all of the Boris clients as well. And MLBTradeRumors.com had an interesting story, I believe it was last week, pointing out that Boris has done this in the past, of course. Some of the players have not done as well, some of his clients have not done as well as their projections indicated. Now, maybe their projections were high in some cases. Some of those players, I can remember Moustakas and Keuchel, got bigger deals in subsequent years, but this has to be a concern. Some camps open this week. The Dodgers on Friday, the Padres on Sunday, everyone else next week, or end of next week. If you're a guy sitting out there and you still are not comfortable with where the money is, it's a concern, yes.
This question came up for me when I was thinking about extensions that I wanted to ask you. But first, I want to ask about the free agent part. Is this a player/agent driven thing? And I'm talking overarching, or is this a ownership driven thing where it's the cheapness of the owners?
It's probably a little of both in some cases. In some cases, agents do miscalculate, and in some cases, the owners are not willing to spend on certain types of players the way they have in the past, and that you see with mostly older players in particular. And it's simply a matter of the game skewing younger as well, right, guys? You look at rosters each year, and young players are coming quicker, and they're staying in a way that they didn't when you guys were playing. It's definitely different than it used to be in that regard. So I don't know that I want to put one side to blame over the other. And even in the case of Boris, I think AJ said he's holding the guys hostage or holding the teams hostage, or Scott said that, I don't remember. But that's not entirely true either.
Ricky Bobby.
Because if he is asking for a certain amount and can't get what he wants, and ultimately does get what he wants, well, then maybe the teams weren't bidding as high as they should. So it's always a two-way street. But certainly Boris, over the years, historically, has not been afraid to do this. Whether he succeeds with all of his guys the way that a lot of people envision, that remains to be seen.
Hey, don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby, okay? Don't put that voodoo
Yeah, that
on
was
me.
Scott.
Yeah, exactly. How many of these guys are going to have to take like 1 year deals, do you think? Like the Boris guys, Chapman, Bellinger. Bellinger did it last year. He was expecting to get a huge payday. It hadn't come to fruition yet. I mean, a Blake Snell, would he take a 1 year kind of parachute deal? Matt Chapman, Jordan Montgomery, would these guys take a 1 year deal?
I still doubt it because of the teams that I listed that still have things to do. And granted, not all of them are going to be interested in every one of these players, but there are specific pockets that they might want to address with their team. I don't know if all of them or any of them will take 1 year deals. I should put it that way. But I'll say this, AJ, I'd be surprised at this point if all four of the big guys, Chapman, Bellinger, Snell, Montgomery, got the deals that we all thought they were going to get. Now, injuries can happen. That's kind of how the Astros got to Josh Hader, right? But I just have a hard time, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm underestimating Boris. I've done it before. But I have a hard time seeing how all four of these guys are going to get monster multi-years. And if one of them ends up with a 1 year pillow type deal, try again next year, that wouldn't shock me.
All right, so we don't ever have to talk about free agents if teams just lock their players up with extensions. And Jose Altuve got another very nice extension. I want you to kind of explain his extension, but what I want to know is, does this extension happen regardless of them making the Hader trade? I mean, the Hader signing, because I said it was out of ordinary. And if you go and do that, it shows, hey, we're still trying to win here. And Jose's like, okay, I'll sign on too.
I believe it happens regardless, Eric. To me, the two most predictable things of the offseason were Jose Altuve signing this extension and one that likely will come, Zach Wheeler signing an extension with the Phillies. To me, both of those are simply going to happen. One of them already has. Altuve, yes, I'm sure he's worried about the future of the team, but he also is quite comfortable in Houston. He is beloved in Houston in a way that he isn't in other cities, and he appreciates everything he has been through with this organization, how they took a chance on him, how they gave him 2 contracts previously, how he has become the face of that franchise. So that, to me, was what was the driving force here. And some people might say, $25 million a year for Jose Altuve, that's actually not a bad deal. Keep in mind, he's going to play not this season, but the next one, what would have been his first free agent year, at 34. So was he getting $125 million at age 34 as a middle infielder? I'm not sure. To me, it's a fair deal. It's a good deal. It acknowledges everything he has meant to that franchise and everything he will mean to that franchise. At the same time, I totally expected this was going to happen. Maybe not this early. Maybe I thought later in spring. But Altuve with the Astros, that was inevitable.
What you just said is the thing I love. It's a fair deal. Why can't we just get fair deals for everybody? Why? That's the thing. Like, he wanted to stay in Houston. Houston wants him to stay there. Can't we just get a fair deal and also acknowledge, like you said, what he did? Acknowledge what he's already done. And yeah, they might overpay him the last year of his contract or whatever, but this guy hasn't slowed down a whole lot. So it's a fair deal. I just believe we need more of that. Everybody's looking to save a buck here or there or get too much, as free agents or whatever it is. And I'm all for players getting their money, but at the end of the day, can't we just all get fair deals?
AJ, fair is in the eye of the beholder, right? And an agent might see one deal as fair, and a club might say that's ridiculous, and vice versa. So we judge these things, we talk about these things, and some are perceived as fairer than others. I would guess, based on some of his comments today, that Scott Boras believes Jose Altuve could have gotten more as a free agent. I'm not convinced that's the case, but everyone is going to have their opinions. And again, what's a fair deal? In many cases, is the Shohei Ohtani deal a fair deal? I don't know. It's kind of an unusual precedent-setting deal. I don't know that we can call it fair or not fair. So I understand what you're saying, and certainly you'd want the players and the clubs to be reasonable and fair with each other. That's obviously the hope, not just for players and clubs, but for everyone working in this country and others. But sometimes it happens that way, and in an open market situation, sometimes it doesn't, and that's just the way the game is run.
From that extension to another one with Bobby Witt Jr., your article talked a little bit about feasibility, how it's the third smallest market. Where is that range of feasibility? Where is that? I mean, 287, possibly $374 million. Where do you feel like that range is for teams? And I get it, the Dodgers are going to be a larger range, but if KC can do this here, are all the teams in this same range able to do it?
It's a good question, Eric. And the way I wrote it is that, in my opinion, I feel at least one of these contracts is capable for every team. And I listed how in the last 3 years, most teams in low revenue positions have signed at least one player to such a deal. Now, 3 years ago, when Tatis signed with the Padres, I wrote an article saying, this is great in many ways, but I kind of question, can the Padres sustain this and can they do it? It's kind of since been proven that one contract like this is not oppressive, and it would seem to me that Kansas City is going to be able to move forward just fine with this. Now, there is the question always for the Padres, as it turned out, because they signed more monster contracts, and it could be for the Royals down the line too, and other teams. Will these teams be able to carry the payrolls that you would want? You would think that the answer is yes. The game's economics are always fluid and always changing, but generally speaking, these teams don't sign these deals unless they believe they can afford them. Now, the Padres are a little bit of an exception because they've had to retrench now with some of their bigger deals and cut their payroll. But one deal like this for the Royals, one deal like this for any low revenue team you might want to mention, that to me seems well within reach.
Hey, Ken, I wanted to ask you about some back and forth that I've had with fans lately about the Brewers. And you, of course, get the complaints that the Brewers are a smaller market team, so it sucks for them. They can't keep someone like Corbin Burns. And I was disagreeing and going back and forth with Kratz yesterday. I'm like, no, they can. They often have to go early. That's the risk they have to take. Jackson Chourio, you haven't stepped foot in the bigs. Here's a contract. Freddie Peralta, haven't really done much yet. Here's a contract. Even though Corbin Burns kind of had a weird start to his career and then there was COVID that season coming up, they could have, a year in, thrown a contract his way. $50 million to someone that age that hasn't proven anything? Probably he says yes, and he was not a Boras client back then.
That's right. He was not. And you're right, Scott. They certainly had that option then. It was free to them. My feeling is, in the present situation, with Boras there and 1 year away from free agency, they were never going to sign him. If they offered him 300, for instance, Boras probably would have thought, well, that's the floor for the open market. Here we go. At the same time, yes, early in his career, if they had identified him in that sense, he was represented by CAA then, perhaps an extension would have been possible, and the same would hold true for any player that they have, and they've done it with a couple of guys. They've done it with Peralta, they've done it with Chourio, as you've mentioned. So teams do have that option, and it benefits them in many ways when the player becomes as successful as Corbin Burns has. And of course, there's always a risk in those deals too, that the player doesn't become what you envision.
Ken, who would be the next guy in baseball? Bobby Witt was kind of the one everyone was looking at saying, oh man, he's got to get an extension. Altuve, obviously. Is it a Bregman? Is it a Kyle Tucker? Is it who would be the next face of a franchise to get an extension? And also, as far as the Brewers go, they signed Christian Yelich and didn't have a problem with it, so they can do it if they want to.
Christian Yelich was a little bit of a different situation, though, AJ. I don't remember exactly where he was service time-wise when they signed him, but you're right. They did sign him for $200 million plus. So that is a good example of how it can be done. Now, who is the next one? I mentioned Wheeler. I believe he is the next one. The one that to me is most interesting when you ask me, and off the top of my head, is Pete Alonso. And the Mets do want to keep him. They at least have said that publicly, but he is another Boras client. Now, I don't expect him to sign an extension, but that's an interesting one going forward because there does seem to be mutual interest on both sides. But Pete Alonso is a first baseman. He's going into his 30s now, and first baseman in the market don't always do what we think they're going to do. Now, Freddie Freeman did quite well. Paul Goldschmidt did quite well, but these are not $200 million guys. They've been in the $150, $160 million range. So if Alonso wants 200, as he might, I don't know, then I don't know if that gets done. I don't know if it doesn't, but that's going to be a storyline all season long in New York. And if he goes out and hits 50 again, the story and the questions and all of the noise is going to get a whole lot louder.
Yeah, you can look at Aaron Judge's offseason from a couple years ago and have a little fun. I mean, I know it's not the same player, but Ken, thank you for the time. Appreciate you as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
I mean, think about that. Fair territory with Ken Rosenthal going over that Burns trade, the Dodgers Fan Fest from the weekend with some good sound running there. And we're about to talk to Max Muncy, the Giants open rotation spot, and Grill and Ken, which is my favorite seg. All the questions from you, the people, to Ken, and he answers them. So Max Muncy's going to join us in a sec, but pretty good timing to have David Stearns on.
For real. I want to ask him about Alonso. I want to ask him about Alvarez.
You want to ask him about Buck?
Well, we can. Why'd you fire Buck?
I actually got a lot of fan feedback yesterday saying they felt like they wanted to see Buck kind of manage through this next wave, but it's a GM managerial difference. The GM comes in, or president of baseball ops, whatever you want to call it, and they want to have their own guy. So anyway, let's get to our next guest on FT Live. Max Muncy joining us, fresh off Dodger Fest with the Dodger hat or shirt going on right now. Max, how was the weekend?
It was good. It was wild. It was it's my 6th or 7th fan fest we've done over here, and it was probably the most buzz that we've had around one.
Are you at the ranch right now?
I am, yeah. I was. I had to find a spot to come get on with you guys.
It looks so much nicer than the White Sox side. I don't know why.
Oh,
It always has.
has to.
It just always has. It's unbelievable. So when we used to share a complex with the Dodgers when I was at the White Sox, and the White Sox is just barren desert, right? And then you walk over to the Dodger side, and there's palm trees. There's like oases in the middle, and they got their guys, getting massages out there, and they're doing the backstroke, and there's people feeding them grapes. You go back over to the White Sox, we're just getting after it, grinding. It's just such a difference.
Grinding.
I mean, I can fact check you on that. We do not get fed grapes, and there's definitely no massages.
Confirmed from a longtime Dodger. That does not happen.
Organic grapes. Organic.
They have the
grapes.
people
Yeah.
with the fans when they're taking BP, so Mookie doesn't get too hot.
Hey,
I wish.
Hey, as a visiting player, when you would play the White Sox, it was so much hotter. When you played the Dodgers, there was cloud cover, there was fans. It just felt like it was a much better place to play.
I mean, I will say when there's not a lot of fans at this place, it feels like it's 1,000 degrees out there. The yellow seats, the rust-colored stadium that they did for aesthetics, it feels really hot when you don't have a bunch of fans out there.
Thank you.
Well, you know why they did that, right? You know why
The
they
White Sox?
No,
It
because
was,
they matched Dodger Stadium seats. That's why they did it.
Yeah, it was.
they're
something
like
to
a
do with
yellow.
the old ownership. That's how they wanted it.
Yeah, so it's like a weird yellow color.
Yep.
So I remember the infielders and outfielders like, I can't see the fucking ball
Get
all the
used to it.
time.
That's how Dodger Stadium is.
Well, Dodger games where there was people. The White Sox there was less people, so there was more
Well,
seats and less people.
Well, day games at Dodger Stadium, it's the hardest place to see a baseball. So, if you're on defense for a day game, you better hope they don't hit a rocket at you because you can't see it.
Oof, that's rough. All right, so do you think that every team is going to treat the Dodgers series like it's the World Series?
I figured you guys were going to bring that up. Mookie tossed that out there, and I'll just leave Mookie's quote alone. But I mean, I will say everywhere we go, there's always a beat LA chant. I don't know if they're doing that chant for other teams. So it's something that we're kind of used to. I think it kind of comes with the territory. having the success that we've had, being the market that we are, I think teams do just want to beat us.
I mean, I didn't have a problem with what he said. It wasn't like he was attacking one team. It wasn't like he was attacking, a division opponent or the Diamondbacks for making the World Series, all that stuff. He said what I assume. I loved his honesty because he said what I assume you guys are talking about in the locker room on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I've always said, when you look at scouting reports and teams come into Dodger Stadium, especially, pitchers are always throwing 2 to 3 miles an hour harder every time they come into Dodger Stadium, and that's just part of the atmosphere that comes with Dodger Stadium. You have 60,000 people there. You have the speakers, the lights always feel a little bit brighter. It's just that's just part of the atmosphere and the nature that's created. But it definitely feels like we are, you get everyone's best every single time.
Hey, pressure is a privilege. If you guys sucked, you guys are the Oakland A's, you know what? It wouldn't be the World Series. So you should own it and be proud of it. I loved what Mookie said because I said the other day, like when we used to play the Yankees when they had Jeter, Posada, Bernie, Pettit, Clemens, that whole crew of guys, guess what? It was a huge game every time. No matter what place we were in, we're like, shit, if we can beat the Yankees, we can measure ourselves, right? And then the Red Sox kind of became that after they won in 04 with David and Manny and that whole crew, Pedro and Schilling. So listen, dude, if I was y'all, I'd be like, hell yeah, bring it on, people, because we're the best team. We got Mookie, Freddie, Shohei, Max, Will Smith, Chris Taylor. Let's go. We're gonna win the damn World Series. I'd be like banging my chest. Let's go, bring it on.
Yeah, it's just something that we've kind of always dealt with, at least since I've been here. But and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Let me put that out there. I'm not complaining about it. I think it's awesome. It creates for a lot of fun games, a lot of fun atmospheres, and it's why you play the game.
That's why you guys are playing. Would you be okay with this big season coming up here where you guys want to win 10 World Series for the next 10 years? The first one, though, the Hard Knocks Netflix group following you around. Now they just announced that with the Red Sox. How would you feel if you had to be the team?
I think we're going to have enough going on this year as it is. I don't think we need that. It's already going to be. We're already seeing it a little bit. There's been a lot more media out here that they haven't been given access yet, but they're lining up along the fences, and a lot more fans, and camp hasn't even started yet, and so that's something that's new. And I think we're going to be dealing with a lot of that this year. I don't think we need any more distractions.
So is that Shohei related, or is that Max Muncy related?
Ooh,
is it
yeah.
Mookie Betts?
It's not. It's not me.
Bowling tournament? Did you go to Mookie's bowling tournament?
Absolutely, yeah. It was a good time.
What'd you bowl?
Not great. I think it was
Did
like
you get triple digits?
Yeah, I got triple digits. I think it was like a 160 or something like that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Do you get your own ball?
Are you a spinny bowler or a straight bowler?
I was just throwing it straight. Mookie showed up and he started spinning it a little bit, and so I tried it once and it was terrible. So I just went back to throwing it straight as hard as I could.
Mookie's a pro.
There's no way Freddie's a good bowler.
Freddie was probably bowling at like 30 miles an hour. The pins were exploding into other lanes when the ball was hitting the pins. He was just throwing it as hard as he could. Those long arms, he was letting it rip, and it was everyone kept like flinching every time the ball hit the pins. They were just exploding.
I
Did they
can
give you
see
a free
Freddie
ball?
being the guy that like chest passes it. Like
No,
when I was a little
he's an
kid.
athlete.
When I was a little
Stop.
kid, we used to chest pass. Boom, 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 boom. It was good. It was much more accurate than us trying to, throw
No,
the ball.
Freddie was getting the arm swing going like way back above the head, and he was pulling it through, and he was letting that sucker rip.
It's a velocity contest for some people.
Yeah.
So you've spent a lot of time with your teammates lately, right? And I know last time we had you on, we talked about the fact that you hadn't even gone over how much media attention and just buzz and craziness was going to go down at the ballpark on a daily basis. Fans, pregame BP, the whole deal, right? Have you guys talked about what to expect on that front?
No, we haven't talked about it as a group yet, but I think we all understand it. At Dodger Fest, when Shohei showed up, he had a group of like 30 people around him with security guards and staff, and just trying to make sure that nothing was happening. And we've never had a guy like that before. And you're talking about Kershaw's been here for however many years he's been, but it's never been quite like that. So it's we already know it's going to happen. We haven't talked about it, but I'm sure we'll have a couple of meetings once camp actually starts.
You just got into spring training. Does it feel for you any different? Like, do you feel like there's, I know you said all the people that are around and you said, but the anticipation of the season. Because I remember going into spring being like, okay, it's fine. And then a certain thing would happen. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, this is real again.
Yeah, I don't think it's reached that point yet. Pitchers and catchers report tomorrow for us, which is extremely early because we have that Korea trip in the middle of spring training, and I don't think it's set in just yet. But I know once you have everyone here and everyone's wearing pants and it's actually full go out there, it's going to sink in.
Hey, Max, your spring training locker, are you close to Shohei or are you far away?
He's not on the same row as me, but he's close on the other wall.
Okay, because I was gonna. So you guys are like kind of corners, and then the caddy corner
Yeah,
each other.
Kind of. Yeah, he's next to Mookie. So.
Oh my God! Oh, Mookie's gonna be so happy about that. Mookie's gonna come in. He's gonna be trying to put his feet up, and there's gonna be 10,000 reporters by Mookie, and he's gonna be like, "Can y'all just get away?"
Who makes that call?
It's got to be the equipment, but Mookie could move if he wanted. I would guess. I don't know.
Well, those guys have multiple lockers. So the wall that they're on is set up for them to be able to do that.
Love that.
You don't have multiple lockers yet? You haven't hit that stage?
I got a big locker.
He does.
But I don't have multiple lockers because I have a big locker. Those guys have multiple small lockers.
Oh. Ooh, okay.
I don't know which one would be better, but I don't have enough stuff to require multiple lockers.
Yeah, so catchers. I always had to have multiple lockers because catching gear and shoes and everything.
Yeah, the catchers always get multiple lockers, but Mook's got his whole thing of Jordan gear coming in. He needs several lockers to house all of that.
Yeah, well, that's the difference. Dodgers side, they can afford like 4 lockers per player. White Sox side, we barely got one.
You guys don't even have chairs.
that was the Braves, dude. We didn't have chairs with Braves in Atlanta. At Disney.
You sit in the locker.
We had to sit. I swear to God, we didn't have chairs. In the spring training club.
Why?
Because there wasn't room.
Oh,
we had no chairs. You literally had nothing to sit on. You either sat on the floor or you sat in your locker. It was
They give you guys pillows to sit on the floor?
Nothing. Nope. It was hard ass concrete. Hey, Max, so you're going to look out for some guys this year, some young guys. You're going to have to grab some guys that rookies or younger guys and be like, hey, man, don't get caught up in this train because they're going to see Shohei coming with his 40 to 50 people, Mookie with his Jordan stuff, Freddie with Charlie running around. I mean, you're going to have to grab some guys and be like, hey, clean this up a little bit.
I hope not. We've never really had to do that in the past. I feel like we created a pretty good clubhouse culture to where guys understand, hey, you got to show up, get your work in, do things the right way. There's plenty of time to goof around when there's downtime, but when it's time to actually get your work in, you got to get out there and do it. So hopefully we don't have to do that too much.
Max, we can now say it somewhat officially. Clayton Kershaw is not going to the Texas Rangers. What were your reactions when you saw that? And did you ever think there was a chance that Clayton wasn't going to figure it out with the Dodgers front office?
I was pumped when I found out he's coming back. He's obviously one of the best left-handed pitchers of all time, and he's an unbelievable teammate, unbelievable competitor. It honestly wouldn't feel right not having him here. For me, there was a little worry he might decide to choose Texas just because he's such a family guy and the situation and that would be there for him in Texas would be almost too perfect. But I'm glad he decided to come back. There's certain guys out there that only need to be wearing one uniform, and he's definitely one of those. He doesn't need to have another uniform ever on, but hopefully, he's got a couple more good years in him.
Does he help the team win when he's not playing? Because we talk a lot about Adam Wainwright would come in when he was hurt, and he would just go about his business. He'd do all his work, and then the day would start when everyone else is coming in, and he was always around. And guys were always talking about how he kind of created a culture, even though he wasn't playing. Is Kershaw that kind of guy, or is it kind of separate with the Dodgers since you guys have so many leaders?
I've always talked about this. Kersh is the first person to set the example. There's no one that has more fun than he does in the dugout on the field, in terms of goofing off and that kind of stuff. But that's after he completes his work. There's no one that works harder than he does. When he shows up, it's full go, 100%. Right from the start, he gets in the weight room, he gets in the training room, he's doing his stuff, he's working on his mechanics. And then once that's all finished, then he's out there to have a good time. And I feel like that's always set the example that, hey, you don't have to be a no fun guy. You can go out there and have fun in the dugout and have fun on the field and have fun with your teammates. But you got to get your work in first. And when you have the first ballot Hall of Famer that's setting that example, that's always spoken volumes to me. That there's just no one that works harder than that guy and making sure he's in the best spot to help the team win.
Have you called or texted him already since the news came through, or are you just like, whatever, I'll see him in a little bit?
Well, he'll be here tomorrow, so I figured I would just see him then. But one of our trainers was FaceTiming him when I walked in, so I was able to say hi to him then. He seemed pretty pumped to get out here and get things going.
Max, did you talk to him during the process at all this offseason? Did you send him a text like, hey, dude, miss you, hope that you're in spring training with me?
No, I didn't do that. He probably had enough going on. He didn't need me reaching out. I feel like we've got a good friendship, but he didn't need me to reach out.
And, you don't have to worry about this the year after, assuming, everything plays the way they want it to. I mean, he's got the player option this time because he was going off those 1-year deals. You saw that, right?
Yeah. It's exciting because I feel like that just hopefully is going to make it a lot easier for him to just say, yeah, I'll come back and not have to do the whole everyone wait till spring training thing again. I think it's a good thing for him. He's got a deal locked up if he wants it. And, we'll see where he's at and where he's thinking with where his career's at. But, obviously I'd love to have him every year that I'm playing.
Have you seen Gavin Lux yet? Have you seen him at camp yet?
Yeah, he was here today. I was actually just sitting with him not too long ago.
So he's back because we had him on and he had his shirt, off and he was looking all jacked and buff. But so he's back, right?
When you have a big knee injury, the only thing you can really work out is your upper body, right? So he should be jacked.
Prison body, right? Prison body.
Yeah.
Only upper body. Can't do squat.
No,
big upper body.
No, he looked good. He, his swing looked good. We're excited to have him out there, and we were hoping he was going to be a big piece for us last year before that bad injury happened, and we're obviously going to count on him again this year.
Where's your swing at? Where's your swing at this point in your career? At this point in the season started, because you're going to face some really good pitching here in about 10 days once these pitchers start ramping it up.
It feels pretty good. I'm not looking forward to our live BPs against our pitchers. That's not going to be a whole lot of fun. We talked about it. One of the last times I was on, me and Miggy Rowe were texting back and forth talking about how, hey, we're going to have a lot of jam jobs in these live APs coming up. We've got a nasty staff out here, and but hopefully it makes the other pitching seem a little bit easier.
Yamamoto, he's there.
Yeah, he was ripping the darts yesterday.
I was going to say, have you touched the javelin yet? Have you touched it?
No.
Is it off limits? Is it like held in a special? Was that Mookie that just walked behind you?
No, it's Petey Montero, one of our coaches.
Oh, I was like, is that Mookie and Freddie? Because I need to talk to both of those two.
No, they're not out here yet. I don't.
Of course, I think they're they're superstars. They show up. They're like Scott Braun. They show up when they want.
I want to see javelins just being thrown behind him, like back and forth.
Yeah, the guy said he was ripping them about 50, 60 yards yesterday. He said it was pretty cool to watch. We had some things going on, so the guys have been going over to the minor league field, so I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I saw some of his warm up stuff though. It's pretty interesting and unique.
Do you think every young aspiring pitcher out there is going to be chucking javelins?
Maybe. We'll see how this year goes. It might be the new craze.
Hey, what did you think about the Dodgers, spending, I don't know, a few days not pulling off a signing, but then they brought Ryan Brazier back. You got to see him in the second half of the year at a cutter, and he was filthy. So they signed him to a 2-year contract. What did he look like, especially in the second half of last year when you guys picked him up from the Red Sox?
He was great. It was someone that every time we brought him in, we knew he was just going to shut it down. We had 100% confidence when we're on the field, we're making a pitching change, and we see him running in from the bullpen. We're all kind of like, all right, this inning's over. We got this one in the bag. It was just kind of you just felt 100% confident out there when he came in, and he came in a couple of big spots. I think he came in one spot where it was bases loaded, nobody out, and he found a way to get 3 outs without allowing a single run. He was kind of a magician out there, and I've known Brazier for a long time. We actually played together in Oakland back in 14, 15. I can't remember what year it was. So it's it's fun to see him come back, and we're obviously all glad he's going to be here.
Man, all right. So explain to people what your typical spring training day is like, because people I don't think understand. You get what time you get to the park, and then what time you're done. Let's say there's no game. You're there 7:30 every day, right?
Well, the Dodgers have been pretty good the last 5-6 years about understanding it's not great to have people out here at 6 in the morning. So a typical day for us, we usually we'll have a team meeting like 9 or 9:30. So most guys would show up 7:30, 8, have their breakfast, get some work done in the training room or whatever it is they need to get done. If you're a young guy, you're in there loosening up in the weight room, and then after the meeting, you get loosened up in the weight room. You'll do your cage routine, head out to the field, stretch, do whatever the team fundamentals are for that day, and then it's usually like bunt coverages. Well, actually, it's not. You don't do bunt coverages as much anymore now that there's no pitchers bunting, but you work on some type of team defense, and then after that, you hit BP and you come back in, and if it's your day to lift, you get in the weight room and lift, and if not, you're home.
Taking a nap. All right,
No.
by 1 o'clock. Dude, the Dodgers
no,
are so
you-
country
no.
club now, bro.
No, they got the little
9:30. We show up
say-
at 9:30. Oh man, I should have played for the Dodgers. 9:30.
Well, that might also be just me getting older. But I remember when I was with Oakland, I was there at like 6 in the morning. I felt like, and but when I was with Oakland, we also had 4 or 5 hours of work out on the field every single day. With the Dodgers, they try to keep it simple. You get good work in, and you're not overworking yourself, and that way by the end of spring you're kind of fresh. You're not absolutely taxed and spent going into the season. We get out there, we have 30 to 40 minutes of a team fundamental, and you try to focus on that as good as you can. Get a couple of reps in, and then you move on to the next thing.
Less is more. I love that. All right, when did you get down to spring? Yesterday? Today?
No, I got out here last week trying to get everything set up before I went out to FanFest.
So give us.
So I
give
haven't
us a
really
little-
I haven't really spent a whole lot of time out here because I was getting the house ready and then getting out to LA for Dodger Fest and then trying to stay afloat with all the rain that we had coming out there.
This is it's different for you because you make $9-10 million a year, but give people a little example of moving into a new house, because people just think, oh, baseball players, they just take their private jets and they just float into spring training and they come out with their bag over their shoulder. Like, it's the real deal. Do you fill your own fridge, or do you?
I don't think people realize how expensive a private flight is. There's not many guys. There's not many guys that are actually doing a private flight. There's a couple, but not many. No, for me, I had the U-Haul trailer on the car, drove it out from Texas. 16-hour drive, get to the house, unpack it all. Next day, you got to go to the store, load up the fridge and the pantry with food. You got to make sure the kids are all set, and then it's just we're lucky enough to have our own place, but for a lot of guys, you got to check in with the rental house. You got to see what's missing, what's there, what you need to go and get for the spring. There's a whole lot of logistics that go behind that.
For real. People don't understand. There's a lot to think. Spring training was the worst, because of what he just said. You get there and you're renting a house, it's furnished. You're like, well, I don't have this, I don't have this. You're at Target.
Yeah, you never know. You never know what's going to be in there. It might be furnished, but maybe there's no pots and pans to cook anything. There might not be any plates. There might not be any silverware. You have no idea. And then you have to balance out whether or not you buy something for the month and a half that you're here. Or for us, it's more like a month this year because we leave early to go to Korea. But you have to balance out. Is it worth it to go and buy something for a short time to use it, or you just try to make do without it? It's
you're rich.
For a lot of those guys. It's yeah, but you don't just buy something if you're never going to use it again.
Yep.
Yeah. You're rich. You can leave some pots and pans for the next person that rents the house.
Tigers
Or
don't
give them
change
out.
their
You give
stripe.
them
Or you hand them to the minor leaguers and be like, you get a saucepan, you get a frying pan, you get a knife, you get a fork.
You show up with
tell you
like
what,
4 forks.
I would not be handing out knives. Say that. That's the last thing I want. Is something to happen and that knife gets tied back to you.
Hey, did you get any speeding tickets?
No.
Wow.
Well, I'm pulling a U-Haul trailer. You can't speed with that.
And you got
That's true.
kids
That's a
in the
good
car.
Yeah, but dude,
He's not ripping
there's
a
so
Honda.
many legendary stories of guys, especially from Florida, driving to Arizona, and you got to go all the way through Texas, and it's like 20 hours. And I have buddies that have gotten 2 in Texas. They get one like in East Texas, and then when they get all the way, like 8 hours later, they'll get another one.
I will say if you get a speeding ticket in Texas, you got to be going about 120 miles an hour. They They're pretty lenient with you, especially when you get in the West Texas and the speed limit's 85. If you're getting a speeding ticket, you're going about 120, 130.
Yeah. Okay. Oh man, I hit
You'll be-
130. I have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll be driving by a cop going about 95, and they'll kind of just wave at you and be like, "Yeah, go get them." It's like, so it's if you're getting a speeding ticket, you really got to be getting after it.
Oh man.
Damn, I'm jealous. I need that. I've lived.
You're a speed demon?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
had a lot of tickets in life. Let's let Max go, then we can talk about it. Max. Thank you so much, dude. Great to see you there.
Yeah, thanks for
And
having me on,
talk to you in
guys.
a few weeks.
All right, sounds
Cheers,
good.
man. Max Muncy with us. Yeah. First of all, where I grew up in Jersey, they're just sitting there collecting checks, and then even down here, there are certain hot spots. You know where's a bad spot? Port St. Lucie. Around where the Mets are, there's some highways where you can just rip it, and they're just hanging out there. There's not much going on.
I've only had a
down
couple
there.
Can't rip
tickets.
it then.
I've only had a couple of tickets in my life. One of them was in Arizona, spring training. I told
Really?
you guys the story.
Yeah.
In full uniform, going to the game.
Oh,
Going to
right.
Goodyear from the ranch on whatever the I-10.
Sir,
you
I
going to
play
the
for
game,
the
sir?
championship White Sox. I don't know if you know who I am.
No, full uni on the side of the road. Guy goes, "Are you going? What are you going?" I go, "I'm going to the game." He goes, "Is that why you're dressed in uniform?" I'm like, "No, I just thought I'd go sit in the stands like this."
Role play officer. I
mean,
wish I was
no.
in the bigs.
Yeah.
You should have asked him if he's a cop.
No, I didn't want to go to jail. I didn't want to go to, what is it, Tent City?
Tent City.
Tent City.
What's
We
that?
did have a true story. We did have a meeting one time. This is awful. Awful. But we had a guy, Ozzy, first day of spring training, would always give this speech. I'm sure all your managers did. Don't drink and drive in Phoenix. It's like the worst place. I mean, don't do it ever, but definitely don't do it in Phoenix because they'll literally make you go into the tent city. And you have to wear like a pink jumpsuit for 2 days and stay out in this tent. Next night, one of our guys got friggin' whoop whoop. Had to miss spring training and go to the tent city for a couple of days.
Wait, so it's a like little temp spot?
Like they have like this giant tent out in the middle of the desert.
It's a jail. It's a jail with a fence and a tent.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Yeah, just Google Tent City, Phoenix, or Arizona.
You're just held there. It's basically like the drunk tank, but you
Got
got to
it.
spend a little more time than that.
So it's a drunk tank without like a structure.
Without
Yeah.
walls.
Okay. What if there
Cold
was
night.
what if there was a natural disaster? Some crazy weather situation
Well, then you better learn how to jump on top of your bunk if the water's coming in.
or Tent City jailbreak.
Oh, they should do a prison break.
That
was a
sounds
great-
like
that was a great show.
That
by
sounds
the way.
like a
That was a
show
great
coming
show.
up on one of those networks.
What was the guy that had it all? He had it all tattooed on his arm. Remember? You ever see Prison Break? Oh, what a
I
good show.
I do remember
First
that
season
show.
of that show is
Yes.
one of the best shows.
Yes.
Of all time. But he had it. Remember, he had all the keys tattooed on his arm, so he'd be like, "Oh, I need to do this." His whole plan was on his arm tattooed.
He
I
got
don't
caught
remember,
too many
but I
times.
remember.
That's why the show went downhill.
Well, he kept getting caught on purpose to keep getting
Yep.
his dumb brother out of jail.
Yep.
That was from a long while back. But that's what I was thinking about just now. That
Jailbreak.
sounds like a show that would be on Fox. Coming this-
Oh,
What? That's okay.
Oh.
Coming. It wasn't.
Prison Break was on Fox.
Prison Break was on Fox. So I'm
Yeah.
saying coming this
Yeah.
fall to Fox. It's like a
24,
World Series
Prison
promo.
Break,
24, another good show.
What happened?
Designated Survivor.
Another good show. Kiefer Sutherland's in a lot of these.
Mm-hmm.
So plan for the rest of the day. We're going to talk to Quintin Berry, and a special guest is going to join us for that conversation. And we will, yes, talk to David Stearns. So you can start to load up some questions in the chat. I will do my best to not pay attention to some of what's going on here and pay attention to some of those questions, load them up. We know some of the obvious ones, so we're good there. We will ask about Pete Alonso. Don't worry. Hey, ask him about Pete. We know. We're not, we get off topic. We have attention issues, but we're not that bad.
You keep us together, Scott. So
Yeah, Scott, what would we do without you?
yeah.
I ask baseball questions.
We were asking
What do
baseball.
we ask?
No,
What are we asking?
no, AJ asks bowling and golf questions.
Well, dude, that's like
It's his life. There's a
the whole point of this was that we want to know about people other than baseball. That was the whole point of doing this show. And now we're almost a year in, and you still want to talk about baseball.
Wow. Can't take
Are
a
we having a
joke.
party? Are we having a party for the 1-year anniversary?
We could.
Oof.
You should plan it. You
Okay,
want to
well,
be our
we're doing it-
social
we're
chair?
Doing it, we're doing it at your house.
That's fine.
Which
Social
is
love
gonna be
chair.
a
parties.
disaster. Yeah, Kratz is going to fly in.
I'm down.
love
All
parties.
right. Let's bring in our next guests, plural. Quintin Berry joining the show for the first time and the first base coach of the Milwaukee Brewers with us. And Did you know that he was joining us for this little combo, Quintin? Adam Jones back.
Yeah, he said he might get in here a little bit and jump in. So I'm glad to see he could make it.
I
Hey.
love it. Jonesy, it's all you, baby. Intro this bad boy.
Hey man, everybody, I don't know how many people know, but me and Q go back like finger waves. Grew up in San Diego, California, went to elementary and high school together, just been best man at each other's weddings. Me and Q go back just forever. But we've been in the last 17 years, we've been at a professional relationship also with playing sports and being on, playing Major League Baseball. So my most important question to him is this offseason was so important because his name was mentioned in a managerial conversation. Now, how much traction did it get? It doesn't matter. When your name is mentioned in a managerial conversation, it just gets clicks and it just, gets people talking. My question to you, Q, and it's a two-part question, is when you heard your name in that, because I think I texted you that, how did it make you feel that, hey, somebody thinks highly of me, that, my skill and maybe my trajectory is going to be good? And how's your shower bod? Go.
Oh man. Well, on the second part, man, I'm hearing dad bods are in, so you know what I'm saying, it is what it is. But no, man, I don't take that lightly. You know what I mean? I'm grateful. I'm glad to be in the conversation. Like you said, however much traction that gets, it is what it is. But my career, I have goals and aspirations, and I want to be upwardly mobile in what I'm doing. So it's just glad to be in the conversation. I don't take that lightly at all. So it's good.
Hey, I'm going to jump right into a baseball question for you. You've been a first base coach for years. You were fast as hell. You never got caught, basically. So do you think that there are going to be more stolen bases this year? Because, as you know, the magic number is what, around 78-ish% or something like that? Like, you can almost make a math equation out of if a player should go for second based on the pop time. And it looked like the success was too high last season, so
Right.
teams should be riskier.
Yeah, I mean, I think last year was kind of like the beginning stage of what you're going to see. Everybody had an opportunity to kind of get a feel for it last year, and you're definitely going to see more attempts. The success rate is up. I believe it should be over 80% easily with the way the game has kind of shaped itself, so that base running can be a thing for the fans and for the excitement of the game. So you're going to continue to see the rise, but I think baseball circular. You're going to see ways that they can, get it back. You're going to see too many stolen bases, and they're going to revert back and be able to have catchers throwing guys out and not see it be so consistent. So it's just a matter of time. But as of for right now, I think you'll continue to see it grow and the success rate be high.
Why didn't you let Rowdy eat then? Why were you holding Rowdy back? Why didn't you let him eat?
On, man. I'll tell you what, I let him run before I let you run, man. I'll tell you that right
Oh,
now.
you know that ain't real, Q.
I've seen you chugging, man. I've seen you chugging, man. I know how you get down the line. So I put the red light is on with you, Kratzy. I ain't gonna lie to you.
just because you came on here with your Adam Jones goatee look-alike, man, I know you guys are buddies, but man,
at least it's not Jimmy Rollins. At least it's not a Jimmy Rollins one today.
He doesn't have the Jimmy Rollins. There ain't no gray in there yet.
It took me 35 years to be able to grow this, man. Let it eat, man. It's just hanging in there. Leave it alone, man. Leave it alone. No, but Rowdy was good, man. He got a few for us, but one time he asked me what the pop time was, and before I gave him the pop time, he just took off and he got thrown out. So we told him you can't do that no more, man.
Hey, are you going to miss him? You guys lost some people, so obviously the latest one is Corbin Burns. Where were you, and what did you think when you saw that? Because we had Corbin on the other day, and he said that they were wavering. At first, it sounded like they were going to trade him, and then they kind of told him they weren't. What do you got there, Jonesy?
I just got an Orioles cup. I knew that question would be asked.
Don't want to rub it in or anything, but
I don't want to rub it in. I'm happy. We talked about it privately about this many times. Obviously, that would be the perfect person. But with them winning last year, they couldn't move them. So happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. You can't replace a Corbin Burns. You can't replace any of these guys, man. Hader was the same. These are guys. These are very special talents, special individuals in the clubhouse. But, you put the faith in the organization. We proved time and time again to be competitors in the Central. And, we put our faith in that and just continue to go out there and compete. But Corbin is, man, that's a horse, man. That's an absolute horse. Orioles, gained a good one there. Just a teammate and a competitor. So, it hurts to see him go, but we're focused on this year and what we're going to do. And I think we added some pieces, and I think our team will continue to do so. So we're ready to go.
Can Murph keep it up? Can Murph keep up the magic that Counts had? Does he have what it takes? Because we told him he can't change. Murph can't change who he is from the bench coach Murph to Big Hefe Murph.
Yeah, and I think Murph really well, with your time being there. And I think they did a good job keeping the temperature of the clubhouse, of the coaching staff by having Murph step in and do what he does. And I think you're exactly right. He's going to be himself. He keeps that clubhouse loose. He delegates really well as far as his coaching staff and puts trust in us. And I think we're all coming in there ready to go. It wasn't much changeover other than Counts. And like you said, Counts unbelievable, man. I learned so much from him. Super happy for him and the opportunities he has for him and his family over there. But I think having Murph step in there, keeping the temperature the same, I think it's good for the clubhouse. Adding Ricky Weeks is huge. Guys really respect him. And we got other guys like Charlie Green coming in here, real baseball guys to work with this heavy analytic organization. And I think when we're marrying the two, I think it's a recipe for success. So we'll be there.
Who's the guy we should look at? Who's the guy? Because there's a lot of talk about like Willy Adames possibly getting traded. Whether Willie gets traded or not, to me, I think a Bryce Terang is a guy that everybody needs to know and look at. But outside of that, who's a guy that you're going to be like, hey, we got to this guy's going to lead us and carry us?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we got so many young guys that are going to come in here. They got some experience last year. It's not just one; it's many. It's many of these young guys that got to step up. You got Sal Frelick, you got the Joy Weimers, the Garrett Mitchells, you got Churio coming in. Of course, you got Bryce and Andrew Monasterio. All these new pieces, and a lot of these guys got a little taste of it last year. You know how it is when you get up there for the first time, getting your feet wet, trying to not step on anybody's toes and don't really know where to go, when to do this, when not to do that. And I think last year was a good learning point for them to come in here and get comfortable and feel like they're a part of something. So this year, it's up to those guys to step up and coming in. And we got Hoskins coming in here. I think is awesome, man. I'm super excited about that. I think he's a great addition, and I think him and Yelly together and Willie also, like those guys are going there and lead this thing.
Are you guys excited about obviously getting there with the trade, getting Ortiz and getting DL Hall, getting two guys who are young and hungry in their early careers? Obviously, you lose Corbin Burns, but you're getting two guys who are ready and I believe are major league ready, and they're going to get an opportunity. We all hope.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man, I'm gonna tell you what. They don't tell me nothing, and I don't know nothing until it's all said and done, man. I'm the first base coach, outfield coach, man. I stay in my lane and I do what I'm supposed to do. But we'll see what that we'll see what that looks like. But everybody's got to come in and compete, man. We all got to compete. But yeah, we're excited to see him, man. It seems like they got electric stuff. I watched some of the videos of Ortiz. I've seen him hit. I've seen him move a little bit. He looks like an electric player. Obviously, we know Hall can throw it, man. And there's a big piece. Anytime you're a part of a big trade like there, man, there's a great outlook on what you can do and how you can help this organization. So I'm excited to see it getting in there to spring training. But as far as like transactions, man, you know what I'm saying? That ain't me. I'm just the first base coach, man, outfield coach. That's me.
All right. Well, give us a line on Churio. Like,
yeah.
Honestly, most people don't know him. From you, obviously, this is your guy. This is your number one guy in your organization. What can you tell the people about him? Like, people that we've seen video, we've seen snippets. Not many people have seen a whole AAA game. I've never seen.
Right. No doubt.
Give us a very good evaluation on this young kid, because obviously you got the money, but again, he's going to get a chance to play every single day in the major leagues. Tell us about him.
Well, he's special, man. You know how we all go. We go around, you go on that field, and you see that one guy on the field that looks like, oh, wait, there's something about that dude. You can see it just right out of the gate, man. That's a special dude, man. Every time he steps in that box, he never looks like he's overmatched. He's got great control over the at-bat. He's got unbelievable power. He can do it all. He can run. He can fly. He can defend. He's special. I think he's going to be something that everybody's going to be talking about for a long time. He's going to be – I think he has a potential. Obviously, everybody knows. You get to the big leagues, you got to prove it, right? That's what we're all going to say. We're always going to, hold that standard to the major league level. But I think he has a possibility of being in those conversations with the Acuñas, with the Sotos and all that, with the way he can swing the bat. And, you could sit back here and look years down the road, say it didn't happen. But, when we project and you look at these guys, they don't hand that over. They don't just give away money like that or like invest that much into somebody unless there's something there. And when you watch him play, you can really see it's there, man. You really can. He's a special player.
I like that. Anyone else outfield wise that we should keep an eye on?
Oh man, we've been drafting first rounders in the outfield for a long time. I like to take
That's what I'm saying. Give me the lowdown. There's only 3 spots, I heard.
I know. We got some 3, so they can't mess it up. So they better not mess it up. If they do, that's my fault. So I'll be out of there. But we got some good ones. Sal Frelick's really good. Joey Wiemer's a special guy out there in the outfield. He does some really special stuff. Obviously, we know Garrett Mitchell is unbelievable, possible 5-tool player when it comes to the major league level. Blake Perkins, also another guy that we added last year who came up and did a great job for us. Yelly proved himself, did a great job out there and made it, he made an argument for himself to continue to stay out there last year defensively with the metrics and everything like that. So we got a lot of pieces, man. We got a lot of pieces. We lost Tyrone Taylor, but like I said, we got a lot of upcoming players that are really good. And, I'm excited to watch these guys go to work next year, this spring training.
I want to take it to like the coaching side of it. Obviously we both have a lot of friends, myself included, that is trying to get back into I would say coaching side of the game, but the khakis and the polo side of the game. What is your advice, especially you? I mean, you were a coordinator. What is your advice for guys who are either freshly out the game or whatever, trying to get back into baseball? Because again, we have the PhD, baseball players have PhD in baseball. That's all we know. We do other things and we have these other business ventures. We don't know that. There's just somebody told us we should do it. We know baseball. What is your advice to somebody who is trying to get back into the game, either coaching or if they want, obviously, with scheduling, when it comes to either TV or coordination? What's your best advice and how do you get back into baseball, professional baseball?
Well, my biggest advice whenever I talk to somebody is stop looking for the perfect situation. Stop looking for the perfect situation. Stop looking for the best financial situation. You know what I mean? It's a humbling experience when you go into coaching, especially when you get into it for the first time. They have all the leverage. You've never done it before, but guys go from when you talk to them when they're fresh out of the game, it's like, hey man, I need this role, I need that role, I need this type of money, and then as the years go by, they start to like drop those expectations. So it's like, dude, get in there where you get a good opportunity to learn, figure out what coaching is all about, your style and stuff like this, what organizations are teaching, get out there and then just get your foot in the door. And then from that, let your ability and who you are as a person, ignite everything else and you'll move quickly through the organization. But sometimes, you got to kind of put your pride aside of what you expect coming out of the game. Just because you did it doesn't mean you can necessarily teach it. And it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get the best circumstance for you. You just kind of got to get in there and then take the bull by the horns and get after it.
See, this, Q. Jonesy and AJ, they don't, both AJs, they don't know about this. They don't know about grinding. You were grinding. You and I were grinding, okay?
Yeah.
But that's where your grinding stops. Is there anybody in the big leagues that has a better shoe game than you? And you can't say John Jay.
Hey, John Jay's nice, man. I tried to get some of his shoes, but I think his feet are too big, man. He's got all those skater shoes too, man. I can't get into none of those. But it's tough not to say him. But it's pretty good. I feel like all the coaches now, even the umpires are walking around with Jays. So everybody's kind of got a nice shoe game now. Everybody's kind of competing to stay up. You got ones all over the field, but yeah, John Jay. I can't not say him, man. It's nice. It's nice.
So he's an 80? He's an 80 and you're a 70?
He's an 80, man. He's an 80. They don't do the 75s, but I'd like to put me up there to 75 if I could get that extra 5 on top.
Okay.
Let me get in there. But
hey,
it's tough.
Q, I want to talk about this. It's the happiest day of my career. It's like a 2-part day. Yeah. Day you got called up, day I got signed. Mm-hmm. We know this day.
Right.
It's also the day you had a double. That was a bunt.
Yeah.
It didn't make it's a double, but people didn't think it was going to be followed by the word bunt.
Right.
Was you trying to? You weren't trying that, were you?
No, I wasn't. I had to come in and make a splash. I was trying to stay there. I was trying to do something that wasn't regular. So, the good thing about my man Adam is like he's always done that, man. He's always put me or people who he appreciates and holds a lot of respect to up in front of him, and he always talks about that being the most important day, even though he signed that big deal that day. But no, man, it was interesting to be able to do that. Is that part of the trivia question you want everybody to ask every time? Like, what was your first hit? It was a bunt double. It's probably why I followed up with getting DFA'd a lot after that. Probably why I got DFA'd like 7 times. But it's okay. It's okay. We was there though. We was there.
Fans knew it. They brought it up in the chat. They were like, "You got to ask about the bunt double."
Yeah. I think it was off of, I don't know, it was McAllister. Got him. I think that's who it was. But yeah, bunt double, man. I appreciated it. Got that slugger percentage up.
Bullet in the books right off the top.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Q, can you tell the story about the second time that we played together in 2016? We were in AAA in, let's see, what was that? Salt Lake. And then you took your standard out in August to try to make a playoff roster for September, and you get to the Adams mark in Buffalo, and what happened?
Oh man, yeah, that was probably the worst experience of my entire life. I, having to join Kratzy again, that was one thing, and then also, but then getting to stay at the Adams mark, and I wake up in the morning and I felt something on my face. Running down my face, and so I run in the bathroom and I got a mark and there's a bug on my face, and then I go in there and turn on all the lights and I strip the sheets a little bit and I see a couple bugs in there, and so I run downstairs and go to the lobby and ask them, like, "Hey man, like I got bugs in my bed, like y'all got to give me a better spot." Long story short, I wake up, they moved me, but I wake up in the morning, I had 95 bug bites alone on my right arm. I had bites all the way down my groin, down my leg, my back, my face. And so I'm calling my agent, man, like, man, what are we doing? What are we doing over here at the Adams Mark in Buffalo?
I remember.
So, oh my God, man, it was one of the nastiest things that I ever felt a part of. And I thought, I can't play like this. Y'all gonna have to give me a day or two, man, because I'm emotionally ruined and my body is ruined. So I'll take a couple of days off and then, put some ointment on and try to get back. But that was probably one of the worst nights of my life.
I remember that you sent me those pictures. I'm like, bro.
Oh my God.
This ain't it.
Gosh. This is not it.
The people want to know, since we grew up together, who was faster?
Oh, you can answer that question, Doc. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's like me asking who threw harder.
I had more range.
Here we go again.
I gotta have one of them. I got more range. You was faster.
Really good talent.
You was faster.
Really good talent, man.
I had more range. What's a really good talent?
You're really good talent, man. You were really good, man.
You were faster. I had more range.
You saw what I was doing in the Southern League while you was up in the big leagues doing your thing, and everywhere else down in the minors, bro. It would have eclipsed everything that you did, bro.
Putting up 50 bags. Tell them.
Putting up 50 of them things, man. Your hips don't work like that, man.
Yeah. But that's, man. But the body of work when I had it out there,
you were good, man.
Man, I got first and third base coaches like yourself fired for them saying go,
hey.
keep going. Dude, hey, we got to talk to you after the game, bro. It's time to. What you doing? You see who was hit to? What you doing?
One of the best moments of my life was when I was with the Chicago Cubs with Austin Jackson, and they put me in center and moved Austin to right field. And he was fish-eyeing me the whole time, and he said, "I hope you drop everything." He was so mad, bro. I looked at him and said, "Dang, Austin, dude, they moving you to right for your boy Q to come out here and run down center." He said, "Boy, I hope you drop everything." They would have done the same to you, but
yep.
No, hell no. You crazy as hell. But, hey, you crazy. Only time I ever got moved out of center was a double switch, and I was hot about that. Only time I ever got moved out of center. Don't play with me. We've been talking about this since off season, because I told you, as soon as you get home, because I've been out here in Spain playing paddle, soon as you get home, you're gonna play pickle, and you're gonna get on to, and you're gonna get addicted, and you're gonna buy all the clothes and the shoes, and look like a fake ass Andre Agassi, and do all this. Look at you
Yeah, I got
already,
the picture.
looking like a damn fake ass Andre Agassi already.
Got the picture now.
Which one
That's
is
a brutal
better?
picture.
That's a brutal. That's bad form right there. That's
Bad
geriatric.
form.
It's all bad form.
Hey,
But,
I
I mean,
dropped
do
that
you-
ball
I mean,
in, by the way. I
Obviously,
dropped that
you're
ball
getting to
in.
share this with my godson Cameron, and obviously numerous friends in the family. But how much fun have you had really literally playing pickle? And obviously, we talked about playing a little bit of padel this offseason.
I think it's awesome, man. I think the movement we're getting from it, and all the young players coming out here mixed with the older generation. You know, I hate cardio. I really do. My wife, she goes to the gym for 2 hours, and I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. I've been doing this my whole life. I'm retired. I don't want to be on the treadmill and on the bike for 35, 45 minutes and then start my workout. So I like to go play pickles, keep my heart rate elevated, move around, get a little cardio in. But I have a blast. I was able to play a lot with my son this off season. My boy Mike Garcia got me hooked on it as soon as I came here, and I've been playing ever since. Getting all the equipment, all the tools. I got multiple paddles. I got lightweight ones. I got heavyweight ones. I got ones for control. I got ones that come over the top, big top spin. Man, wifey got another package coming to the door. She's hot about it, but it is what it is. Fall in love with it. So. That's kind of where we're at. And when I get to Milwaukee, I'm gonna join a league. I'm gonna join a league out there. I'm gonna take them out. So Milwaukee, look out, bro. Here I come, bro. I'm coming.
Hey, Q. Well, back to the glory days again. So, what was the streak? What was the number? I was trying to look quick. What was the stolen base streak?
I think it was. I was like 25 for 25. I think it was. The craziest stat, though, I will tell you that about this. I didn't realize this, and Mike Brasso came up to me and told me this. I had no idea. My whole career in the minors, I finished at 399, and I had no idea. And he just looked at me and goes, "So you just couldn't get that one more? You just bro." I had no idea. So my minor league stolen bases stopped right at 399. Had no idea until like last year. And so every day he walk in the clubhouse, he go like, "Hey, 399, what's up, bro? How you living?" And so I was like, oh. Had no idea.
That's
Nobody
cold.
looking
Nobody
at minor
told
league
you.
stats. Nobody looking at minor league stats. Nobody care. Like
Kratz looking at minor league stats like crazy.
No.
That's what I got.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Did you feel pressure though, Q, when you heard like, now it's 22 for 22? Did you feel like, oh, heat check, I'm just going to keep going because eventually I'll get caught and it'll still look like a 90-something% success rate? Or were you like, damn, how far can I take this without getting caught in the big leagues?
No, I definitely had pressure on it just because I felt like in order to continue to get in these jobs in September, to continue to get these jobs in the playoffs, like when you have that mark, it's like, oh, Quintin still, you know what I'm saying? He's perfect. You want a job done, he'll do it. So I just felt like I couldn't get caught. And, I held that on. But sometimes it kind of works against you because then you get a little too timid. And that's my thing. It's like you can't be too timid. If you're going to be a base stealer, you got to be aggressive. You got to be willing to get thrown out. You take your chances here and there. If you get caught up in the numbers, it kind of takes that away from you. I talk with Yelich all the time because he's such a perfectionist. He wants to be perfect on the bases all the time. So, like, I have to constantly remind him, like, hey, bro, you got to take chances, even when it looks like it might not be. If the offense isn't really clicking right now, or we need you to get in the scoring position, like, take the chance. It's okay if you get thrown out and this and that. But, he'll get to 21 or 22 and be like, oh, man, almost Q. I almost feel like he wants to try to beat me in that just so he can have a little one-up on me in that. I said, dude, you got everything else, bro. You're good. You got everything else. You beat me everywhere else, bro. Just let me have that 25 or 25. You'll be all right. So, but it's just one of those things that, you try to balance it out and try to be aggressive, but you want to have a high percentage. But, I appreciate the fact that it was taken onto and everybody liked it and kind of ran with it.
I want you to take me to the father, Quintin.
Mm-hmm.
How awesome is it to get to share the field with Cameron and Camila?
Oh,
I mean, obviously, when Cameron's able to come out there in the summer, obviously he's in school in San Diego, but when he's able to come out there in the summertime and spend the time with you at the field, and he's of age to where nobody's complaining. He ain't 6, so he's of age and height where people don't bother him. But how awesome is it to – and he wants to be there, so you're not forcing him
right.
there.
No.
How awesome is it just to share that locker room with him?
No, it's amazing. It's what we look at. We all looked at it when we were young coming up, and we saw the veteran guys, the older guys who come in there with their sons, and they're doing like the little things with them, and they're dressing up, or they're, even like eating, showering, and all that other kind of stuff, getting on the field, taking BP and doing all that other stuff. You're like, you were envious of that. You wanted that. So to get an opportunity to do that with my son and still be in the game, because I thought he would remember me playing, but I was done when he was like 5 or 6, and he doesn't really remember it. I know you talk about your kids not really remembering it that well either. So to be in the game and allow him to have that experience where he's going to remember for the rest of his life. My daughter comes out. She hangs out with the athletic trainer, Teresa. She does a great job. Sydney, one of our PR girls, she does a great job with my daughter, and she gets to come to the field early too sometimes. She gets to get a little bit of a feel for it, so it's not just Cameron. It's not like I can't be a part of it too. So getting those opportunities are really big for them and for me, and I just get happy to sit back there and watch him shag and just hope he doesn't wear one off the face, you know.
Camila don't go to no games. I know Camila. She don't go to no games, but me and Cam, we got to share a good moment with game 2. No, it was game 1 of the wild card. He got to sit right next to me, center cut. Michaela was taking all kind of pictures. Now that was one of the best moments in my career because like I get to sit and talk baseball with my godson and like you know, and you guys, and it's like front row. Everybody gets to see it. And it's just a special moment that I know he really enjoyed it because he got to go see the commissioner. He got to meet CC. So he was just like, oh man, I'm floating on cloud 9. Bring it down a notch there.
Yeah. He felt like a big deal. And then, you know how it is, man. As a father, man, that means the world, you know, to get him to have those experiences, to be able to hang out with you and sit there and, you know, watch and talk baseball. And, you know, you got all these people that are communicating with you and get to see him like CC. Like, I mean, that's a huge deal, man, to be able to get up there and go, you know, talk with him and get those pictures and build all those memories. So like, that's huge. That's what it's all about. That's at the end of the day, this is why we do what we do and stay in the game and build this, you know, connection with everybody so we can have our kids out there and, you know, have them be a part of it.
Love that. Well, Adam, want to do the closing remarks? Say see you in spring training to your dude.
Bye, Q. I'll see you in the summertime. Hopefully you got some guys that make the All-Star team and you're at the All-Star game throwing homer and derby. But see you at the All-Star.
Yeah, I like that.
Summer.
Thanks, Q. It was awesome having you on here for the first time, man. Appreciate you. And yeah, we'll see you probably not in Arizona, but we'll see you in Milwaukee at some point over the season.
No doubt. I appreciate y'all having me. Y'all take care of yourself, and we'll see you guys once everything gets rolling. Kratz, miss you, dog. Miss you, bro. See you later, man.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Thank you, Q. And
Appreciate
Adam,
y'all.
thank you, dude. Thanks for popping on, dude. We'll see you soon. Mr. Adam Jones. Just a little special guest appearance for the Quintin Berry interview. We've got David Stearns in the green room, so he's going to join us in just a sec.
Did you have somebody like that? Did you have somebody like that you were in high school with that you still have that connection? You know, you can tell when Jonesy and Q, they both made the big leagues. They both had 2 different careers. Was there somebody for you like that in high school?
Yeah, nobody. Some guy named Johnny.
I mean, like when you guys were you guys that close?
Johnny Damon?
Oh, heard of him.
Heard of him?
Yep.
You know, it's weird because I don't really. A lot of my high school buddies most of them went on to like join the military and went to college and kind of moved away. There's a couple, you know, it's weird.
But Johnny counts? Are you kidding me? How far apart were you?
Who? Johnny was 2 years ahead of me.
Right.
So I mean, we still live close and we still do stuff all the time together. So, but yeah, listen, the high school minor leagues are more like, to me, it was more minor league-y because we came up with a bunch of those guys in the minor league. So that was more of the guys that I still kind of are closer with than my high school buddies because there's not really many high school guys that still live here anymore. Everyone's kind of gone away. So, I mean, hey, we all have our crosses to bear, Kratz.
That's fair. Hey, you know what? I'm going to ask that question to our next guest, David Stearns, president of baseball ops for the Mets, joining us right now. David, great to have you on here for the first time. Congrats on the gig, and we'll get into all that. Just curious, is there anyone that you grew up with that's either playing or working in the game that you have like a really long history of friendship with?
You know, it's interesting. My college roommate worked in baseball for a long time. He then got out of baseball, went back to law school. You know, from like my childhood, probably not. But you know, I think you kind of grow up in the game, and so I think all of a sudden some of my best friends are those that I've met along the lines and are still around in the game.
Yeah, I don't think Harvard wasn't producing too many players during the time that you were there.
Hey, we got Sudi B. We got Brent Suter. That counts.
Not while you were there.
No, he's a little younger than I am. He's a little younger than I am, but we still claim him.
All the snot kids up there.
We still claim him. This is a tough act following Q Berry.
I was going to ask him a question. I was going to ask him, like, what should we ask Stearnsy? So I'm pretty sure he texted me, but let me read this. Why did you trade Hader? Wow, right off the bat. Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, that probably wouldn't be the first time that coaching staff asked me that question. So I've gotten that one before.
No, seriously, though, like, in that situation, now you're in a new role.
Yeah.
One, what did you learn? One, how will you do it differently? And another part of it is, how did that all come to fruition?
Yeah, I've, as it probably wouldn't surprise you, I've thought about that transaction a lot. I've thought about that decision a lot. And look, what we were trying to do there, I think, was thread a needle, right? We were in a spot where we felt like we had a playoff caliber team. We were also trying to set ourselves up going forward, and we understood we were probably at the optimal time to get future value back for Josh. We thought we were going to be able to do an adequate job of backfilling after we traded Josh, and clearly we didn't. And we made that trade. We were in playoff position, and we ended the year out of playoff position. That when you do something like that, it's going to hurt, and it stings, and frankly, it should sting. So, I think the intentions there were admirable. It was about extending a window as long as you possibly could, but we didn't execute it well enough. I didn't execute it well enough, and we missed the playoffs, and certainly that stung.
All right. Well, I had to ask the hard-hitting question because I really don't care what happened with Hader. Why the heck did you sign Yasmani Grandal and then you fired me? That's the real question I wanted to know. I wanted to come back.
Yeah. For a long time, we thought you were going to come back too, and then Yaz kind of fell through the cracks that offseason. We had a chance to bring him in, but one question I had for you, Kratzy, if we can change the roles here a little bit, is on the website here, you're not in a Brewers uniform, and I'm curious about that. Like, that had to have been among the most memorable stretches in your career, right? So can we get you in a Brewers uniform on the website?
It was until January 18th when you signed Yasmani Grandal, and then it became just another season. No, I don't. You have to talk to Claudia. She runs
the show. Okay.
Choice, but that all culminates into my next question. Right now, in this time of the season, yes, Yasmani Grandal fell through the cracks. He needed a one-year deal, was looking to get, a paid deal of $60 million, and he didn't get it. Now this is where we're at in spring training. I mean, spring training's coming. This is where we're at in the offseason. Yeah. How do these deals come to fruition in the sense of there's still guys out there that have one-year deals that might be happening, or they want $300 million, and you're in the market now where you guys have a little more cash.
Yeah, so somewhere in the middle between a one-year deal and $300 million. I feel like that's the bid ask on a lot of players when you get to this point in the offseason. Look, every offseason runs at a different pace, and they move differently, and it can be tough to predict. And you never really know when someone who frankly probably deserves a significantly bigger contract is going to get a one-year deal as spring training approaches. And so you kind of just got to keep in touch with everyone and see what falls through. And you're right, I'm fortunate to be in a market right now where we can take shots at certain times. And certainly Steve, as an owner, has done that before. We're certainly going to do it again when the opportunities arise, when the time is right. And so that's an exciting place to be.
David, what was it like for you last year? I mean, you were officially a Brewers employee, but you really couldn't do anything. So what did you do? What did you do? And then how how long did you know you were going to be a Met? Because it was already out there. Like, hey, David Stearns, he's the next president of baseball operations for the Mets. So were you like, was there a little bit of like, hey, the Brewers are doing this, and you're calling Cohen and you're like, hey, watch out, the Brewers are thinking about doing this?
Yeah, I could assure you that was not going on. So I had this like unique, almost like a professional gap year, where I was doing some advising for the Brewers, and then towards the back half of the year, that kind of faded away. I did a little bit of advising in some other sports, which was really interesting to me. I spent a lot of time with my family, which was wonderful, and got to travel a little bit at times a year that I normally don't get to travel. And I didn't really know what was going to happen and where this was going to end up. I didn't know whether the right situation was going to pop up for me and my family to jump back into this. But as we got into August and I was allowed to talk to other teams, the Mets reached out. We had some really good conversations, and then by, I guess, mid-September or so, we were able to agree on something. And I'm very fortunate and grateful that it happened.
Didn't you grow up a Mets fan? Did you grow up a Mets fan?
I did.
So is there more pressure on you now? Because now you're the head. So now your family will call you. Forget your own pressure. Now your mom and dad are going to be like, hey, David, that was an awful signing. Yeah, sorry. Thanks. Love you. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, people warn me about the talk radio in New York. My like Thanksgiving dinner table is going to be rougher than any talk radio that you can find here. So sure, but that's the fun of this for me, right? Is that this is because I grew up here, because I grew up a Mets fan. There's a little bit more meaning to it, and my family cares about it more, and my friends care about it more, and you want to succeed even more because of that, because all the people that this would mean so much to if we get this right, and if we're able to develop the type of organization that I really believe we can.
Can you take us through a little bit of the Yamamoto pursuit and the fact that did you feel like you were behind the eight ball because some teams are talking about how they scouted him for the last 2 or 3 years and you're just now coming to the Mets organization, which, by the way, feels like you've been the Mets GM for 3 years now, but I know it's just back in October, but that's how it feels for me. I don't know how it feels for you, but take us through a little bit of how the Mets pursued him?
Yeah, so I was fortunate that the Mets have done a great job of scouting Japan and the Pacific market in general. I felt very well informed of the type of player he was when I showed up. I felt very well informed of the type of person. And it's not like this was a player that just sort of jumped on the baseball scene over the last couple of months. This was clearly a very well-known player over the last couple of years. And so while I wasn't with a team previously that was likely to be shopping in this aisle of the grocery store, I was very aware of who this player was and was tangentially watching him. And then when I got here, dug in as deep as I possibly could. And look, we gave it our best shot. And I think as an organization, we did pretty much everything we could. I thought it was a good process. Fair process, and ultimately the player chose to go to LA, which we respect. But we're going to go through these types of pursuits in the future, and there are going to be times where we land the player, and that'll certainly be exciting for us.
What about Alonso? When are we going to have the presser? David Stearns, you're up there, and you got a nice new number. What is he? Number 20 jersey in orange and blue. Pete, congratulations! You're a Met for life.
Let's set it up for tomorrow. Can we do it tomorrow? Can you broker the deal?
Sure, I can be in Port St. Lucie in about an hour and 45
right
minutes.
Now, you guys can broker the deal, and we'll set it up for tomorrow, and we'll be done with it.
Do I get a cut if I broker it? What's my cut?
Ask Boris.
That's Pete's decision. That's Pete's decision. Look, Pete's a really good player. He's performed on a big stage here for a long time. I know that. We all know that. I know how important he is to our fan base. I think where we are right now, where Pete is we're going to everyone's going to focus on this year. The best thing for us is for Pete to have a great year. The best thing for Pete is for Pete to have a great year. And then we'll go forward from there. But we're certainly, we're certainly invested in trying to keep Pete a Met. And I'm hopeful that over time we'll be able to work that out.
Now, you weren't with the Mets last year when they were getting rid of Scherzer and Verlander. How do you go into spring training with this squad as a new GM and convince big league baseball players, hey, we still can compete. We can still win this thing. What is your speech going to sound like when you give it to them or when you introduce Mendy?
Yeah, so, it's interesting. I don't think they need to be convinced. One of the really fascinating parts of my first couple of weeks on the job was talking to a bunch of our players, and they were trying to convince me how good they are. And I was like, no, guys, like, I get it. Like, this is a talented group we have here, and we're going to add to it, and we're going to be a good team next year. But I think the guys who were on the team last year believe that the group that was here last year and the group we have going forward is significantly better than what the win total from 2023 would demonstrate. And I think there are a lot of reasons for that. I think a lot of people in baseball would believe that as well. So I really don't think I have to convince anyone. I think what I have to do and what we as an organization have to do and what Mendy and our coaching staff has to do is provide the environment that allows all of these guys to be who they are and be as successful as they possibly can be. If we put all of our players in the best position to succeed, I think we're going to have a really good year.
David, I want to go back to Pete for a sec. I grew up in the area. We've seen over the long course of the Mets that some players go there and it just doesn't work in New York. Pete obviously is thriving in New York and it takes something special. So my question is, when you enter the org officially, did you do the homework to be like, hey guys, why didn't we offer him an extension years back? Because Corbin Burns just got traded from the Brewers. If they had offered him something in 2018 or 19 when you were there, I'm sure
if he would have offered him?
That's what I'm saying. that kind of stuff happens. You did it with Freddie P. And look at him. He's thriving. He's a 1. So at least for the homework purposes, did you guys look into it and say, hey, why didn't we have conversations like this back in the day when obviously the player is going to cost less?
Yeah, so I think those are fair questions, and I think I'm certainly not going to disclose past organizational negotiating history, but I think over the course of any player's career, particularly a player who's had this much success, really from the moment he started his major league career, there are going to be conversations, and sometimes they get deep, and sometimes they don't get deep, but there are going to be conversations, and sometimes they line up, and sometimes they don't.
Hey, you can go ahead and throw the Brewers under the bus. You don't work for them anymore. Listen,
they almost traded for him.
They almost traded you away.
No, they almost traded for Pete.
Oh, that's also true.
Remember?
Yeah, we thought Pete was going to the Brewers.
There's a lot
you ought to have been traded for each other. Stearns for Alonso, straight up, in a bag of balls, going to the Brewers. I mean, I always wondered that, like, you've been obviously doing this job for a long time now. I mean, you're like 25 years old. I get it.
Stop.
But how do organizations determine the guy? Is it just based on the amount of thought that they're actually going to accept in a contract extension, or is there a formula each organization has? I mean, because it seems kind of arbitrary to me at times. Like, why is this guy getting that, and there's another player that's equally as good or maybe more valuable, but they don't get anything?
Yeah, so I think there are different organizational philosophies on this topic, and there are different player philosophies. So I've known players who, as soon as they established themselves in the big leagues, made it known that they wanted some security. They were going to value security, and they liked the organization. They wanted to be there for a long time, and sometimes that can spark a really productive dialogue and a back and forth. And then I've certainly encountered players who feel the opposite, who establish themselves in the big leagues and really want to bet on themselves through the arbitration process and into free agency. And so I think guys are motivated by a little bit different things. Guys are comfortable with different things. There are some organizations that are willing to take a little bit more risk earlier in a player's career, and some organizations that prefer to take a wait and see approach a little bit more. To see what players become during their arbitration year. So I don't think there's a magic formula to it. I don't think there's certainly not a rule that's set in stone. I do think there's a lot of subjectivity to this. And ultimately there are different player preferences, and you guys can speak to that better than I can about sort of just different wants and what is going to make a player and his family comfortable versus the chase of going through the arbitration system and ultimately making it to free agency at the earliest possible point in your career.
David, I have a question about balancing this year versus the future, which I know is a hot topic. So I'll focus on one position, for example, DH. There's really good DHs available. Maybe they fit the right price structure for the Mets this offseason versus some of the young guys like a Vientos, who's going to look for more playing time this year, and looking back at, some of the young Mets players that got PT last year, but that you want to see further develop. How do you balance that when you're deciding on a move still with a couple weeks to go until, really everyone's getting ready for spring training and there's a lot of free agents left?
There are. And look, these are conversations that we're constantly having internally, trying to figure out exactly what the right balance there is. I am a firm believer philosophically that we have to let young players play, that we have to allow young players to experience success and setback at the major league level, that's how we learn, that's how we get better. And so we have to provide room on our roster for that to happen. And that's not only this year, that's going to be going forward as well. We're going to want to have our young players who have performed well in AAA to have the opportunity to perform in the big leagues and get meaningful playing time. But you do have to balance that with maybe a little bit more certainty on your roster, with maybe a little bit higher degree of reliability in terms of what the production is going to be. And we've tried to do that this offseason. I think in certain areas of our roster, in the outfield a little bit, on the pitching staff, we've opted for a little bit more certainty. We've brought in some more veteran players with track records, guys who have had success in the big leagues in the past. And then in areas on the position player side, we've opted for providing a little bit more room for our younger players to play. And so that's the approach we're taking right now. I'm like every GM or president, like you're never going to say never, and you're always going to keep your options open. But I do think the right approach is to ensure we have sufficient opportunity and playing time for young players broadly as they reach the major league level.
Okay, so you like the young players. When was the last time you texted or emailed or called Scott Boras? Because he's got some good players. You don't have to say what you discussed. Just how recently was it?
I think Scott is very good at keeping in touch with all teams throughout the offseason. So certainly there's been plenty of touch points throughout the offseason.
Okay. All right. Speaking of another, I don't know if we're allowed to discuss this, but we had a manager on yesterday. Well, he's a former manager, and he used to manage the Mets. And so can you, since you won't talk about former teams' discussions, can you tell us why you got rid of Buck Showalter?
He's like, I hate you, Kratz, for inviting me on
Hey,
here.
it's easier from us. You're going to get it in spring training.
So a couple of thoughts there. Buck did a tremendous job with the Mets, and I think that's important to know. And I think we've noted that as an organization. Certainly, I have throughout my time here. The organization's better off for his time here, and he managed one of the best teams in Mets history, and we're not going to forget that. I'm also really excited to have Carlos Mendoza as a partner going forward here. And I think Mendy is a really, really talented manager. I think he's a really, really gifted baseball mind who has touched pretty much every area of baseball development and done so many jobs in the game. So, Buck was a very successful manager for a long time, including his tenure here with the Mets. And I'm thrilled that I get to partner now with Mendy going forward.
Okay, so listen. You can tune in on YouTube 1 to 3 Eastern every day. You'll get all the insight on baseball. So you can subscribe. It's free. It doesn't even cost you any of that big money you're making. Okay, but Buck actually was he was flowing praise on the Mets organization for the way it was handled, and also on Carlos Mendoza. Let's not. He could not have been happier for Carlos and what's happened and the way it was handled. So. I just wanted to see your answer because, one day when Kratz is a manager, I want to know what that conversation's like when Kratz gets fired from the GM.
Well, then Kratzy can come on the show and talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I want to hear from a GM side. We got Buck side yesterday, so I want to hear from a GM side. Or sorry, what is it?
Pobo.
Pete Pobo, director.
Are
Pobo.
people saying that, by the
Pobo.
way? I mean, it's like become a thing this offseason. Let's finish with that. Does anyone come up to you and go like, "Oh, are you the Pobo of the Mets?" Like, people are using that acronym a lot now.
No, this would be a first. I have not gotten that. I have not gotten that to this point. So maybe you guys can start a trend.
No, it's been a trend this offseason. I'm starting to see it everywhere. The POBO, like that, people know what that means. So I'm telling you, you're going to see it now.
All right,
David, we appreciate the time, dude. Awesome having you on. We'll see you in spring training. Actually, AJ and me are just a hop skip away. So
he's never been to Port St. Lucie. He doesn't know what he's in for.
I'm sure he has. You grew up in Mets fan.
I've been there, and yes, I know what I'm in for. I can't wait. It'll be an exciting 7 weeks.
We'll be there. We'll be there in a few weeks for a stop by. We'll come say hello. So,
sounds good, guys.
Good luck, man. We'll see you then.
Take care.
Thank you, David Stearns, president of baseball ops for the New York Mets. That's good stuff. Hey, Kratzy, I like how he swung it back to you for a sec.
He's real, man. Like you meet so many people in the game, and there's people who are real. There's people who are really talented, and when it comes together, like, he is a really talented, smart person, Harvard grad, a great high school in Manhattan that he grew up in. Like, he has everything, and he has the communication ability. Like, he's able to, give him a hard time. We can give him a hard time. We can, but also get real answers out of him. And I think that is something that Mets fans need to be super excited about, that this guy in a pressure cooker that New York is going to be able to handle it, because he's going to be the same guy every single day.
Just like how what?
I want you to comment on what he just said.
Well, no, you want some inside info for a sec? You're not going to throw me under the bus like that. Kratz, you hear us, right?
I hear you. Yeah, why?
Yeah, we lost you for whatever
So
you
here,
just
I'll give you
talked
some
about.
inside info.
Oh, that's what I was like. I want you to.
Internet sucks in Orlando today, and we lost for 10 seconds, but we're back. So
that's okay. I said what I said.
Exactly.
That's why I was like, Scott, you can.
I watched the show back. AJ doesn't. Let's go to Pacoda projections.
Also a great point.
Also a great point.
Hey, Pacoda projections are out. So I know there's an influx of Mets fans watching coming off of the David Stearns chat. So let's see where Pacoda has, Baseball Prospectus has the New York Mets. 83.6 wins, 78.4 losses. You can't do that. You have to have just an even win. You can't have 0.6 wins. No,
it's like having 1.3 kids.
Almost a 50% chance, though, seriously, of making the playoffs for the New York Mets. So they've got Atlanta, that's a lock. Philadelphia in the mid 80s. They've got the Mets basically in the same spot as the Philadelphia Phillies.
I don't love that. I don't think their pitching is good enough right now, starting or relieving. I mean, I know Diaz is coming back, but and their offense, honestly, they
should be good.
Should be good, but
are you taking the under then?
But Marte didn't do much last year. Lindor had a good year. Pete needs to have a big year. I don't know. It's
84 wins.
84
might make the playoffs.
84 is a good. Well, the thing is, Atlanta, Philly. We've already went through this, right? One of the Centrals, Dodgers. There's 4. You only got.
Right, but there is a chance that
there is a chance. Marlins made it last year.
They sneak in.
I know they're banged up and they're trading everyone away. They've signed all those players.
No Alcantara.
Signed all
Miami is a curious case.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd take the over on the Washington 57.
I would definitely take that.
But take the over on that. That was like that to me is like the Arizona of last year when Arizona was like 68 or whatever. That was like the easiest one of all time.
I agree. Now way too low.
I'd be interested to see where the Pacoda lines up, where BetMGM, where the numbers, where the over-unders are, because
it's pretty close usually. I mean, I can tell you.
I would have to think the Phillies are going to win over 84 games.
I would take on this. I would take the over with the Phillies. I would take the under with the Braves. I would take the under with the Mets. Not a lot.
Under 100 for the Braves? Under 100.
Under 100. I think they'll be a 99 win team, because I think they're gonna mitigate some of their. They're gonna like do the same thing they did last year. They're gonna be way ahead in September, and it's hard to get to 100 wins. It's hard.
And they win 106.
I have all the numbers for you now, okay? BetMGM's got the Mets at 82.5, the Phillies at 89.5.
It's a big difference.
Big difference.
That's a huge difference. Like, where do they have the Nats? There's no way BetMGM has the Nats at – if it's 57, I'm taking
no, obviously not.
like
It's 66.5.
Yeah, say 60.
Much more difficult.
They're not going to value him to lose 100 games.
No.
Now, Colorado, that's a little more realistic there.
It might be on.
That one might hit. Like, if you bet if they won exactly 58 games, how much would you win?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have
$1 million.
every answer for you, but
Come on, Scott. You're my dad. Everyone keeps saying in the chat, you're parenting.
I think that what Pacoda does is they kind of bring everything towards the middle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're more conservative, so they'll bring everything down. That's why you see so many teams in that like 80-ish range. So with me, Pacoda is often not far off, but they don't take risks. In my mind, from my own brain, just looking at things.
Okay. I think the
That's why
Padres
you
end
see
better.
numbers shrunk.
If I were to say now, I'd say the Padres end better than the Giants this year.
Okay.
I could
Why?
see either way, but also I think
I
the
think
Giants might sign 2 more players.
Yeah,
and
that's to right now.
change your mind. The
Now, this one
offseason's
is the
not
one
done.
that blows my mind. They got the Cardinals winning this division by big.
5 games.
They were awful last year.
Cardinals are favored right now on
They
the
were
odds
awful last year.
to win the
Awful
World or
starting
to win the
pitchers.
division.
Yeah, but I mean,
They have good offense. Defense is not as bad as it looked last
I
year.
mean, the Brewers, I feel like, are at least a 500 team.
It's a
I
big
mean,
loss.
24%, and
the
they made
rotation.
the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years.
They
What
made
was
the
it?
playoffs by 9. They won the division by 9 games last year too.
What was it before they? Is this before Burns was traded? That's another question that I would have.
You guys
Like,
buried the lead. The Reds at 78 wins. They're winning more than 78
think.
games. I'm sorry. The Reds are winning the division in the
Boston's
NL
at
Central for
80.
me.
Baltimore 86 and a
But
half.
that's the shrinking. Everything comes
What are you,
together.
George Costanza?
Yes,
The water was cold.
shrinkage.
Let me turn the heat on in here.
Pacoda is all about shrinkage. It's like every team jumps in the pool and then comes out, and that's what Pacoda spits out. Okay, it's in the pool. You like the Yankees to cruise past everyone else
No,
in the
I don't.
East? I don't.
No. That's why I said Baltimore 86.
Yeah, but this
I
is what
guarantee
they do.
BetMGM is a 90 at least.
For who? Baltimore.
Baltimore.
I'll get it for you.
I bet they're 92 to 94.
Okay, these are a little more realistic for me. I take
Orioles
the,
91.5
see, okay.
for BetMGM.
So Oakland, I would probably take the under 64 and a half. I mean, I'd probably say
They're losing 100.
They're going to lose 100.
They're losing 100.
So
How do they have Oakland at 64 and the Nats? I think the Nats are not a 100 loss team.
How about the Rockies? Are as bad as and the payroll for the Rockies is way higher than the Athletics.
A is 56.5.
That's more realistic
for the over/under
because they don't even have a good bullpen.
by the peeps that I follow. Exactly.
I'm not touching that. I'm not touching 56.
See,
Can
this
we
is
get
good.
the AL Central? There we go. Look at this powerhouse division. White Sox. They got the Claude. When you did this, the wins are 96 and a half. Losses are 65 and a half. You got them
62 and a half from BetMGM.
Which, by the way, where's your red goatee?
What?
Oh yeah, the White Sox.
The
lost
agreement that you had.
more games than the Red Sox.
We made it. Me and the other person made a decision. I told him I wasn't doing it. And he didn't have a choice to say anything.
Okay.
Word.
Let's take the Tigers right into our World Series odds seg. So your BetMGM odds for the Detroit Tigers this coming season. We just saw Pacoda putting them in the 75 win range. This team entering last season was plus 20,000. And then by midseason, obviously, times were tough for Detroit. They actually finished strong and ended up in second place in the American League Central. Did you know that the Tigers finished in second?
I pay attention.
78 wins. So
tough division there. Finished second, 78.
Big difference though heading into this year. Look, plus 6,600. They were plus 20,000 last year.
Again, if you want to put money on the Tigers to win the World Series, just send it to me.
Don't.
I'm looking at the division though. Like you said, what's their division odds? I guess anything's possible once you win your division, but I don't think they're there yet. Are they there if they make a big free agent signing. Blake Snell comes in. They signed Blake Snell. He's there. I don't know who a big free agent signing was for the Tigers back in the day, but it's not the same Tigers anymore. But plus 3,000 for the division, I'd think about that.
Wait, for the league or the division?
For the
Clark?
American League or the Okay.
Oh,
That was a little
for the
high
American
the
League.
division.
Yeah, that's too high for the division.
It'd probably be like plus
500.
Nah, I was gonna say 8.
I mean, I can get you the number
Yeah.
if you'd
By
like.
the way, I just want to clarify. I will pay off my bet, so everybody stop being like, "Oh, a certain guy in the chat who's kind of annoying a little bit." Always like, "Oh, you don't pay off your bet." Typical AJ. Screw
Ready?
you.
Because he
League
knows you.
Central.
Yeah, we're so tight. We hang out every Friday.
Let's get hot right now. All right,
That's why I won't use
BetMGM
his name.
for
I
American
wondered
League
where you
Central.
are on Fridays.
You want the Central? Minus 125 for the Twins.
Mm-hmm.
Tigers at plus 350. They have them second. Guardians plus 375. Royals plus 900. White Sox plus
That's a
4,000.
team we haven't really talked about at all.
Who?
The Guardians.
They don't want us to talk about them.
But they're gonna be decent.
Oh, I like their
Stephen
young
Vogt.
pitching.
I
Gavin
believe in
Williams,
Stephen Vogt.
I like. Tanner
Tanner
Bybee,
Bybee.
I like. Logan Allen, I like.
By the way, okay, true. I got to completely shift gears because we've had a kind of a Brewer heavy day today. And I got to ask Kratz. Kratz, did you ever hear this story? I wanted to ask Stearns or Quintin Berry.
Is this a Tigers question?
No, it has nothing to do
Well,
with
can I
Tigers.
finish the Tigers seg
Oh,
and then you can ask the question?
Sure.
Okay, let me just do my little reader, okay? BetMGM is giving the online sportsbook customers the opportunity to win a grand prize of up to $58,000 if they predict the most big game prop bet questions correctly out of the eligible users. You can go to the promo tab on the BetMGM Sportsbook app, and account holders who create an entry in that challenge have an opportunity to win up to $58,000 if they predict the most big game prop bet questions correctly out of the eligible users. Yes, there's a big game this Sunday. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLING. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know. It was before Kratz was there. So they have spring training in Maryvale, in Phoenix. Okay, and the White Sox, when they had spring training still in Tucson, this is a long time ago. Then used to have their instructional league in Maryvale. They share the complex with the Brewers. Well, one day they're out there getting ready for just whatever the game. High-speed car chase. Car comes through the left field wall. Crashes onto the field. Cops, woo, woo, guns drawn, arrest the guy on the field, not in the stadium. And there's like when you go into Maryville, there's like a minor league stadium, and then the stadium's got big stadiums over here. There's like this on the road. There's a field with a big fence. The guy crashed through it into the field.
You could have killed someone.
He could have, but he didn't. Thank God.
Was there a left fielder out there?
No, it was like during BP or when everyone was warming up. Luckily,
BP's actually scary.
I know, but he didn't hit anybody. But
Wow.
yeah, and then all the cops came out and were like, "Hey, get out of your car!" And they arrested the guy.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I don't know. This was before Kratz.
Hey,
So this had to be like
Maryville.
2008-ish, 7, 8, 9.
That's definitely before my time, but Maryville's you gotta have some cred to be able to drive through Maryville and after night games.
You know when that was?
This wasn't
I
in
can
the
try
night.
and
This was in the
find
middle of the day.
I'm saying
I don't know when
Maryville's
I could find out,
Maryville's
but I had
tough.
text.
There's some toughness in Maryville.
There's definitely some toughness, but it's a good stadium. I always like going to Maryville. They always packed it pretty good. The berms are nice.
They
Bullpen was all right.
renovated it. and
You think the cops are like, all right, we got another one. We got a high-speed chase. Trap them in the ballpark. Trap them in the ballpark.
Not even it was in the minor league ball. It was during an instructional league.
No one is there.
Yes. Direct him to the ballpark.
He'll never know. He'll think that it's like a getaway into the forest. It's a ballpark. He's fucked.
Have him crash through the net in left field. Remember the big one field they had there with the big net?
Yeah, to
When you
save the
pull-
parking lot.
Yeah, that's the one he went through. He went through the net onto the field.
That's crazy.
Trap him in the netting. Every stadium needs netting now. We'll trap him in the netting. Ballparks are like prisons now. All right, let's slap hands. Kratz, hit it.
My college hat.
Have
EMU
you won that
Royals
one
is
before?
Buck Showalter.
Yeah, he's won that one before.
Let
Yeah?
us know. Yeah, I wore it. It's all droopy. It's the one that we took the Rusty surfing logo and copyrighted that, John.
Stole it.
Stolen.
Grade it. That one's pretty bad for me. That's a tough logo. I'm gonna grade it. I'll give it a D.
The boys
Yeah.
are gonna be,
Yeah.
the boys in college
That
are gonna
are.
be pissed.
That's the
Better.
current logo. They haven't refreshed that.
Oh no, they refreshed it like the year
Oh.
after we left. It was hot
Yeah,
the year
then
we had
that's
it.
fine. I don't feel bad hating on it. They got a better version now.
Mhm.
What do you think that
Meh.
hat grade is?
Meh. D is a good grade.
D. Thank you.
Fair. D's passing.
Maybe in Orlando, not in most parts.
You can actually pass. You can pass with a D.
You can.
Really?
I mean,
You got to
You can
add some
pass with a D?
D's in there.
yeah.
Oh,
And at Miami University.
I'm not
To
the
be the other way, you got to get it right.
I'm not the scholar in
I
this
know
group.
that's why I said
I'll
it,
tell you
Miami
that.
University.
Exactly. Yeah, University of Miami. I did not go to Miami of Ohio. Anything else? Did we have something we wanted to show? A little clip.
Put a finger down if you're trying your darndest to get everybody ready for spring training, but your husband is being so annoying that you don't even want to go to spring training anymore. So while you're sitting there contemplating what it would be like if you didn't go to spring training, you realize that he would go by himself and have the time of his life, and he would go golfing every single day and get 10 hours of sleep at night and come back with like a perfect tan, and you would have to stay here. You know what I'm saying? So then you decide that you have to go to spring training because Lance is not going to get 10 hours of sleep without us. Right? Yeah. Right.
She ain't wrong.
Lance Lynn's wife.
She ain't wrong.
Crushed
We need
it.
a wives section on FT. We need a
She ain't
wives
wrong.
day.
I'm here for it. I'm all about it.
She ain't wrong. Listen, that was the best part about spring training. I go to Arizona. My kids are in school.
Slept like a baby.
I'd sleep at like 8, 7 o'clock every night. Just could do it. Come home and days the team's on the road. Oh, you're sleeping, take a nap, get some food, take a little nap, like 1 to 3, get up, watch a little TV because Arizona, the time all the stuff starts early.
Yeah, you get to watch the games, right?
Yeah, everything starts early. Go back in bed by 8. Oh, it's the best.
Wow.
So now me and Lance's wife have something in common. I'm jealous of all you really good players that you got to do that. I spent spring training like this, like somebody gonna cut me? Okay, I'll play all 9 innings. You want me to play first too? Okay, great. I'll catch 5 innings and then I'll play first. Do you need me to throw BP too? That's great. So we all had different spring training experiences.
Is there a ninth inning? Is there a ninth inning in spring
was
training?
like for me?
I thought they stopped him. I thought they stopped him like the 5th or 6th.
Sleep in. Nope. I was there 6 o'clock every morning. Panic.
I can
I was
imagine
too.
bench coach coming through and it's like hours into spring training one of the days and Kratz is like, all right, posture. I feel great.
Kratz, what's the ninth inning like in spring training? Did they do you shake hands after you win?
Yeah, the end of games. Sorry, my earpiece fell out.
Yeah, they rip shots in the 9th.
I didn't know they had a ninth inning in spring training.
The last 3 innings were usually thrown by 93, 96, and 87, and they all threw a billion. No idea where it was going.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of hit by pitches.
Oh, those were the days.
Hey, Thursday we've got Pitching Ninja and Josh Hader included on the guest list. So let's stay hot this week. All right. We'll see everyone Thursday.